Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a Spotfire dashboard in under 5 minutes. Here's a preview of the final product. This is using the graphical table visualization within Spotfire. And in this example, I'm displaying a few different things. We've got the lease name, which is organized into the operator, the field name, and then one row for every lease. We've got a spark line to show the oil production over time for each well. And then we've got a few different calculated values. 1 for the cumulative oil produced, 2 for the average oil produced, and 3 for the last production value. So this will be the last month of producing. How much did this well make? And then we've got a couple of icons to indicate the performance of the well, whether it's above our targets or if it's below our targets, and then if it's really exceeding our targets. We've got some different colors and different icons to indicate that. And then this final column is indicating our top 10 wells overall. So which are the best performing wells in this entire group? And if we want to get some more detailed information about each one of these, I can click on the rows and get a production trend over time for each well. And if I start clicking on more rows, we can see that these lines stack on top of each other in the details chart below, which helps us to compare the monthly production over time. Before we start, let's take a look at this data set. This is monthly production data from the Gonzales County, which is one of the biggest producers in the Eagle Ford Shale. This is publicly available data, and we've got the lease name, the district number, we've got oil, gas, and condensate production over time, and some information about the county, the API number, the operator, the field in which this well is located, and things like that. Here's the dashboard that we want to end up with. And starting from scratch, we're going to recreate this in under 5 minutes. New page. And I'm going to pull up my official stopwatch here so that we can keep track of time and so that you can know that this recording hasn't been edited or anything like that. Make it a little bit smaller and get it out of the way. And here we go. Start by inserting a graphical table, and I'm going to build out a hierarchy on this left axis with the operator name, the lease name, or the field name, and then the lease name, so that we've got one row for every lease. Next, I'm going to modify the properties to change the settings on the spark line. And this spark line I want to show the monthly oil production, so we'll change the value to oil and the aggregation method to sum, change it to multiple scales so each line is scaled independently, and adjust the width and the color to represent oil. Next, we'll give it a name of oil prod and the units. All right, now we're going to add some calculated values. The first value is going to be the sum of the oil, which is our cumulative production, and we'll give that a name. And the next value is going to be the average production, and since our data is monthly, this is going to be the average production that each well has produced every month. And finally, we're going to have a column for the last value. So how much did this well produce last month? We'll use the aggregation method of last for this. And give that one a name. Next, we're going to use some icons to represent our stoplights. So we'll add an icon. And we're going to define some rules around this icon. First, get rid of the existing rules. Next, choose the column value and the aggregation method that you want these icons to be represented by, and then start building out these rules. So our first rule is going to be showing anything less than 100 barrels of oil. We're going to call that not good, and we're going to represent that with a red circle. The next rule is going to be between 100 and 500 barrels. We're going to say that that's not great, but not terrible. So we're going to make this yellow, and also show that with a circle. And the next rule, which is going to encompass most of our data, we're going to say that these are the good producers, which is between 500 and the 90th percentile. And let's make those green so that we know that they're producing about what we expect them to. And then finally, we're going to have a last rule to show our best producers, which is going to be our top 10%. And make those dark green stars so they really stand out. All right, after we do that, we're going to add a final column to represent our top overall wells. and this is going to be using our average monthly production with a yellow star. So the top 10 wells are going to show up as these gold stars, which will really make them stand out to us. You can rename these axes. We'll call this one top 10 wells, and rename the other one as well. And this one can be the performance indicator. Alright, so after we do that, we can clean this up a little bit. We can modify the appearance so that these rows are a little bit taller, which will make it easier to read. You can also reformat the numbers. If your oil values aren't coming in with these nice commas and decimals, we can go into the column properties, select that oil column, and then modify the formatting for this column. So mine is set up to have 1 decimal and use that thousand separator, but if yours is not, you can quickly do that as well. Adjust the column widths to make them a little bit easier to read. And finally, we want to add our details visualization, which is going to give us the ability to click on a row and see the production history for that specific well. So right click and insert a details visualization and start modifying the axes on this details chart. So we're going to change the x-axis to our production date, get rid of anything that's on the y-axis, and let's make that the oil production. And we can color by the operator, which would give us the total production for each operator. And if we selected wells up on our graphical table, or multiple wells, it would add the production of those wells together. And if we had multiple operators, it would graph those as separate lines. But we can also show the lease name or the lease number in our color by, so that each lease is going to be represented by its own line, which will help us to compare the production trends of different wells over time. And check the time. Oh, barely beat it. Under 5 minutes. I know I went through that pretty fast, but hopefully it gave you an idea of how you can quickly build interactive dashboards in Spotfire. Thanks for watching. For additional Spotfire tutorials, head over to my blog at datafuel.co/blog. Feel free to leave any comments or questions below.